There is a moment in the life of every great market movement that serves as a profound and unforgiving test of a speculator's character. It is the moment a leading stock, after a period of quiet preparation, surges with undeniable power and breaks through into new, high ground. To the amateur, this moment is a wall, a signal of danger, a price that is obviously too high. To the professional, this same moment is a gateway, an open door, the one clear and unmistakable signal to act. The great and tragic irony of the speculative game is that the very action that feels safest to the novice, buying a stock that is cheap and beaten down, is the one that is most certain to lead to his ruin. And the action that feels most terrifying and reckless, buying a stock at the highest price it has ever known, is the one that is the foundation of every great speculative fortune. This is an analysis of that great psychological divide. It is a clinical dissection of the most powerful and costly of all the emotional traps that await the trader, the fear of buying strength. It is an exploration of why this single primal fear prevents the majority of men from ever capturing a great trend, and a detailed breakdown of the contrary, scientific, and profoundly profitable logic that Jesse Livermore used to overcome it. To understand this is to understand the very heart of the Livermore method. It is to learn that a speculator is not paid for his ability to find bargains, but for his ability to correctly identify and align himself with the great, powerful, and irresistible forces of the market. This entire philosophy, this counterintuitive and often misunderstood approach to the market, is a central and recurring theme in the one indispensable text on the mind of a master speculator. It is a lesson that must be learned and relearned until it becomes an automatic and ingrained part of a man's thinking. The wisdom of this approach and the painful lessons that forged it were masterfully chronicled by Edwin Lefebvre. A link to his essential work, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, now with a unique, detailed chapter-by-chapter analysis from Max Davidson, is left in the description below this video. This new analysis is specially designed to make the timeless wisdom of the book powerfully relevant to the modern reader. Let us first then enter the mind of the amateur, the novice speculator, as he confronts a stock making a new high. His entire being is gripped by a powerful and seemingly logical resistance. His mind, conditioned by a lifetime of bargain hunting in every other field of human endeavor, recoils from the idea of paying the highest price. He tells himself, "The stock has already had a great advance. I have missed the move. To buy now would be to buy at the very top, just as the insiders are beginning to sell." He sees himself as the greatest fool, the final hopeful buyer who is left holding the bag. This fear is a powerful and paralyzing one. It is the fear of being made a fool of, the fear of public and financial humiliation. And so, he does nothing. He stands aside, watching with a mixture of fear and envy as the stock continues its powerful upward march without him. Or even worse, he turns his attention to the other end of the list. He searches for the stocks that have not moved, the ones that are still selling at a low price, the ones that have been declining for months. Here, his bargain hunting instinct feels at home. He tells himself, "This one is cheap. It has less room to fall and more room to rise." He does not realize that he is making a fatal and fundamental error. He is mistaking weakness for opportunity. He is choosing to place his capital not on the proven, thoroughbred leader of the race, but on the tired, sluggish plow horse that is lagging far behind. A stock that is selling at a low price is not cheap. It is a stock that has, by the market's own verdict, been proven to be weak. There is a reason it is low. The selling pressure is greater than the buying demand. The line of least resistance is demonstrably downwards. To buy such a stock is not a shrewd act of bargain hunting. It is an act of pure, hopeful gambling. It is a bet against the established trend. It is an attempt to catch a falling knife, and the speculator's hands are sure to be bloodied. The amateur is trapped by a profound psychological barrier. His fear of buying what looks expensive and his desire for what looks cheap is the very mechanism that ensures he will always be on the wrong side of the great market moves. Now let us turn to the contrary and scientific logic of the master speculator. Jesse Livermore viewed a stock making a new high in a completely different and far more intelligent light. He saw it not as an end, but as a beginning. The new high was not a danger signal. It was the ultimate and most reliable confirmation of the stock's own internal strength. It was the market's loud, clear, and unambiguous announcement that a powerful new force was at work. He understood that for a stock to press forward into new high ground, it must overcome a tremendous amount of resistance. It must absorb all the selling from those who had bought it at lower levels and were now content to take their profit. It must also absorb the selling from those who had bought it on a previous advance and were now desperate to get out into it. A new high is therefore a sign that the buying demand for the stock is greater than all of its combined available supply. It is the proof that the great institutional players with smart money are accumulating the stock with an aggressive and insatiable appetite. It is the moment the stock is proven by its own action on the tape that the line of least resistance has turned decisively upward. The path ahead is now clear. The stock is sailing in open water with no old overhead supply to impede its advance. To buy a stock at this precise moment is not, therefore, an act of reckless choice. It is the single safest and most logical time to act. It is the moment when the probabilities of its spend advance are at their absolute maximum. It is the pivotal point. The professional speculator is not trying to get the lowest possible price. He is not interested in the bottom eighth of the point or the top eight. He is interested in the great, profitable middle of the move, and the new high is the signal that this great middle is about to begin. This entire philosophy is built upon a single foundational principle. A speculator must trade on the facts of the tape, not on the emotions in his own mind. The fact is that the stock is making a new high. The fact is that the volume is confirming the move. The fact is that the buying is stronger than the selling. These are the verifiable realities of the market. The amateurs thought that the stock is too high is not a fact. It is an opinion. And an opinion, as Livermore knew, is worthless. Worse than worthless, it is a liability. It is the speculator's own internal fearful opinion against the market's external bullish fact. The master speculator has learned, through a long and often painful process of discipline, to silence the voice of his own opinion and his own fear. He has trained himself to listen only to the clear, cold, and impersonal voice of the ticker tape. When the tape tells him a story of immense buying power, of a stock that is a clear and dominant leader in its group, he does not argue. He does not second-guess. He does not allow his own timid, bargain-hunting instincts to veto the market's clear command. He acts. He understands that the high price is not the enemy. It is the signal. It is the proof. It is the confirmation he has been patiently waiting for. To fear the very signal one has been waiting for is a form of speculative insanity. And yet this is the state in which the average man lives. He is at war with the very information that could make him rich. He sees the evidence of a great move beginning, and his fear prevents him from acting upon it. This is the fear that stops profits. It is the great psychological barrier that keeps the majority of traders in a state of perpetual mediocrity. They see the great trends come and go, but they are always standing on the platform, too afraid to board the train. But is it not still risky? Of course. Every single operation in the stock market is attended by risk. The business of a speculator is not to eliminate risk, for that is impossible, but to manage it intelligently. The amateur, in his fear of the new high, believes he is avoiding risk. In reality, by buying the cheap, weak stock, he is taking on a far greater and more foolish risk. He is betting on hope against the evidence. The professional, by buying the new high, is also taking a risk. But it is a calculated risk, a risk that is taken at the moment of highest probability, and it is a risk that is protected by a sound scientific system of money management. This is the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. The courage to buy a stock at its high is not born of a reckless, gambling spirit. It is born of a quiet confidence in one's own, proven, and inviolable rules of operation. The master speculator is able to buy strength without fear because he knows, with absolute certainty, how he will manage the position if his judgment proves to be wrong. He is not acting on a blind hope. He is executing a complete two-sided campaign. He knows his entry point. He knows his profit objective is the end of the big swing, not a few small points. And most critically, he knows his exit point in case of failure. He has his stop loss, his insurance policy against a catastrophic loss. It is this complete scientific system that provides the psychological foundation for bold and decisive action. The amateur is afraid because he has no system. The professional is confident because he has one. He is not just buying a stock. He is initiating a campaign that has a clear plan for both victory and for a tactical, disciplined retreat. It is this knowledge that liberates him from the paralyzing grip of fear. This, then, is the first half of the great lesson. The fear of buying a new high is an emotional, irrational, and profoundly costly habit of mind. It is a relic of the bargain-hunting instinct, an instinct that has no place in the world of scientific speculation. The professional must, through a long and difficult process of self-education and self-discipline, completely retrain his own mind. He must learn to see a new high not as a danger, but as an opportunity. He must learn to associate the high price not with risk, but with proven, demonstrated strength. He must learn to trust the clear, factual evidence of the ticker tape over the fearful, emotional chatter of his own opinion. He must learn to buy strength, not weakness. This is the great counterintuitive secret of all trend-following speculation. The money is not made at the bottom. It is made by joining the powerful upward current after it has already proven its own force. The amateur misses the great trends because he is always waiting for a pullback, a bargain, a cheaper price. The professional knows that in a true bull market, the train does not often come back to the station. He has the courage to get on board even when it is moving at full speed. But this courage, it must be repeated, is not the courage of a fool. It is the courage of a man who has a plan. It is the courage of a man who knows that even if this one trade fails, his system will protect him, and he will survive to fight another day. The second half of this analysis will explore that system in detail. The defensive strategy, the use of the progressive stop-loss that makes the aggressive offensive strategy of buying new highs a safe and scientific one. To have the courage to buy a stock at its new high, at a price that seems terrifyingly expensive to the amateur, is not an act of reckless bravado. It is an act of supreme confidence. But that confidence is not in one's own opinion or in one's ability to predict the future. It is a confidence in one's own, proven, and scientific system of risk management. This is the second and equally important half of the great equation. The professional speculator is able to act with such decisive boldness on the offensive because his defense is impenetrable. He knows before he ever enters a trade the exact and absolute limit of his potential loss. He has a plan not only for victory, but for a swift, orderly, and unemotional retreat in the case of a temporary defeat. This is the great missing piece for the amateur. He is afraid to buy the new high because he has no system for dealing with the inevitable risk. He is operating without a net. The professional, by contrast, has built a net of such strength and intelligence that it removes the fear from the high-wire act of speculation. The very foundation of this defensive system, the key that unlocks the courage to buy strength, is the masterly and disciplined use of the stop-loss. The speculator must know before he buys at what point the market will have proven him wrong, and at that point he must sell without argument, without hesitation, and without hope. This is where the fear of the novice, "What if I buy at the high and then a pullback wipes out all my profit?" is answered with the cold, hard logic of a professional. The answer is simple. A pullback is not a danger if one has a predefined and inviolable rule for dealing with it. Livermore's method for this was a model of scientific simplicity. It was a progressive or trailing stop-loss strategy, intricately linked to the structure of his pyramiding campaign. Let us examine its mechanics. After the initial probe is bought at the pivotal point, for example, at $50, and the second lot is added at $55, the first defensive action is taken. A stop-loss order for the entire position is placed at the initial entry price of $50. The logic of this is profound and unassailable. The first lot of stock is now, for all practical purposes, risk-free. The only thing at risk is the paper profit from that first lot, and a small calculated loss on the second lot. The speculator's original capital is protected. Now, as the stock continues to advance and a third lot is purchased at, for example, $60, the defensive line is advanced as well. The stop loss for the entire, now larger, position is moved up to the price of the second purchase at $55. The speculator has now locked in a definite profit on his first lot of stock. His second lot is now protected at his cost. The only part of his original capital that is now at any risk is the small amount in the third lot. The trade is financing its own protection. This is the scientific method that makes the act of buying at a new high a safe and logical one. It is an aggressive, offensive strategy, but it is protected at every stage by a cautious, intelligent, and ever-advancing defensive line. The risk is being constantly managed and minimized, even as the position and the profits grow. Now we must contrast this with the utter lack of any such system in the mind of the amateur. This is the primary reason why the majority of men lose money in the stock market. They have no plan for a retreat. The amateur, when he buys a stock, is a general who has committed his entire army to a single forward charge, with no thought given to protecting his flanks or securing a line of retreat. He is a creature of pure, hopeful offense. He does not use a stop-loss, for he sees it as a form of pessimism. To place a stop is to admit the possibility that he might be wrong, and his ego will not allow for such an admission. He holds on his position unprotected, a naked and vulnerable target for the market's inevitable reactions. He will often watch in a state of paralyzed horror as a beautiful paper profit is completely wiped out by a sharp pullback, simply because he had no predefined rule, no automatic trigger for when to sell. He is always hoping for a rebound. Even worse, he will often commit the speculator's mortal sin. As the stock reacts against him, he will see the lower price not as a danger signal, but as a bargain. He will not just fail to sell, he will actively buy more. He will begin to average down, a practice Livermore called the direct path to bankruptcy. The majority of speculators are not defeated by the market, they defeat themselves. They are beaten by their own lack of a clear, definite, and disciplined system of rules. They are an undisciplined mob, and the market is a professional army. The outcome is never in doubt. This brings us to the final distilled lessons of this entire philosophy. They are the simple, powerful truths that separate the winning professional from the losing amateur. The first great lesson is this: do not be afraid to buy strength. The market grows not because a stock has become cheaper, but because the demand for it has become greater. A new high is the ultimate evidence of this powerful demand. It is a sign of health, not of sickness. The second great lesson: build your position in stages. Never make your full bet at once. Test your judgment with a small initial probe. Let the market itself confirm that you are right with a profit before you commit more capital. Reinforce success, not failure. The third great lesson: always protect your capital and your profits with a definite mechanical stop-loss. A profitable position without a stop is a house without a roof, an open invitation to disaster. The speculator must be as disciplined in his defense as he is courageous in his attack. And the fourth and all-encompassing lesson: discipline is the master key. The method is sound, it is scientific, it has been proven, but it is a tool, and a tool is useless in the hands of a man who lacks the discipline to use it correctly and consistently without exception. If this entire two-sided strategy could be reduced to a single operational command, it would be this. First, identify and buy proven strength at a clear pivotal point. Second, Add to this winning position on a scale up as the trend confirms itself. And third, protect the entire growing position with a progressive stop loss placed under the level of the previous purchase. This is the complete formula. This is the scientific method by which a small initial win, taken at a moment of confirmed strength, is systematically and safely transformed into a great trend-following fortune. The risk is controlled at every single step of the campaign. The fear of buying a new high is an emotion. It is an echo of a bargain-hunting instinct that is fatal in this game. The professional speculator is a man who has learned to replace this emotion with a cold, logical, and scientific process. He has learned that the greatest profits are found not in the weakness of a beaten-down stock, but in the demonstrated explosive power of a market leader. He has learned to pay for proof, not to gamble on hope. The market rewards the man who aligns himself with its most powerful forces. It rewards the man who trusts the clear, factual evidence of the tape over the fearful, emotional chatter of his own mind and the opinions of the crowd. The great trends, the ones that build fortunes, are the prize. The fear of buying a new high is the emotional gatekeeper that prevents most men from ever claiming that prize. The professional speculator is the man who has found the key to that gate. The key is not a secret formula or a mystical insight. It is the simple, hard, and unbreakable iron of his own self-forged discipline.